I saved up and bought a load of stone for ballast under the rails because it's getting wet here again and very muddy. The nearest place to unload was still a while away from the rail line though, so I thought I'd better build the little extension that's needed anyway. So I need a new set of points to join up to the existing track. The problem is there's not much room between the last set of points and the engine shed, so I need a tight curve. I'm using flat bar steel again, which is flexible but only up to a point. I couldn't hold it curved enough, so I pulled it round with a ratchet strap until the curve looked about right. Now, this is all new to me, but my plan is just to fit in the new points without disturbing the old rest of the line. So I just disconnected one rail at a fish plate and replaced it with the end of the new curve. Then I replaced some sleepers because now I need longer ones. Some of the holes lined up, but I needed to make new holes in the existing rail without moving the rail. And you know how hard that is when you're drilling sideways. So I made a squashing machine to hold the drill, and now I have a lever to squash the drill sideways through the rail, and that worked really well. With the new curve connected, I could see where the parallel rail needs to go and where it will join up with the existing one. I didn't want to weld two long pieces together, so I just bent a short piece and welded that onto the existing rail. I had to take them to the workshop though to do that. I'm supporting the corner where they join up because that's where the movable blades will pivot from. I'm taking the opportunity to move the sleepers closer together. Originally they were spaced at 50 centimeters apart. But if I ever build a loco, I suspect the rails would need more support, so I'm putting them in at 40 centimeters centers now. And when I added them around the curve, suddenly things began to take shape. So far so good, though heavy showers slowed up the job a lot. I offered up the rest of the curved rail and marked where the holes needed to be, and because there were lots to do, I took that rail to the workshop too and drilled them in the drill press.
Okay, can everybody make it through the mud over the train track?
Now watch your step on
the
these
goat.
guys.
Mum, when's your boy?
This corner is this muddy with just foot traffic. Can you imagine what it would look like if I was trying to drive a tractor here?
I lift you to the mud.
I managed to overbend and kink the first rail when I bent it with the ratchet strap, so I had to make another new tool to straighten it out. I wonder what they're called. That's 2 new tools for this one little project. Now comes the exciting part. Would the 2 different radii, locked together with lots of sleepers, be enough to stop the rails springing back straight again? I didn't have a plan B, so I was relieved that nothing happened and they just stayed put. Right then, that's the fixed rails in position. Now comes the movable ones. I thought I ought to try making a 2-blade switch this time, just because so many people have asked me to do it. That means I need 1 curved blade and 1 straight one. I'm using angle iron because they have to hold themselves upright. But to curve one, I cut lots of slots on one side so I could close up the slots to make the curve. That was the theory, but in practice they wouldn't close up enough, so I had to cut more slots, twice as many slots. So that was a bit slow and tedious. Then I put the smallest dab of weld on the joins to hold it in shape before I welded up properly, but even that was too much, and I managed to distort the curve. So I had to cut them out again and weld them up again. And eventually I got it the right shape, more or less. But by now I was thinking that the single blade points I made the last time were a lot easier. The pivot point is in the same place as in my other points, right up at the point of the join. But there's a big difference. The wheels pass right through the blades, so I needed to cut a large chunk out of each one, and that's called the frog. The frog needs to accommodate the flanges, and if you have a consistent flange on all your wheels, then you could make the floor of the frog at the appropriate height, so the flange runs on the floor. But I have all sorts of flanges, so I'm guessing that it's going to be a bit of a bumpy ride for some of them. We shall see. But even that wasn't complicated enough. Things work fine when the wheels are running on the straight line, but see what happens when they're on the curved path. The wheels don't want to go around the curve, and when they find the little gap in the rail, they try to go right through it. And it's even worse from the other direction. So I need to add something called a guard rail or a catch rail. Its job is to catch the wheel on the other side and keep it close to the curve. Now it works. Whew. From both directions too. What a palaver. So these points took much longer than the other ones. That's because they're more complicated and they also take more materials. But you could argue that they're smoother, maybe, though this tight curve is too tight to know for sure. The only advantage I can see to them is that they take up less room than the single blade ones. That's because the rails can only start curving away from each other after the points. I better check that the other wagon goes through too. No problem on the straight. and it goes around the curve too. Although I'd need to trim the shed roof if I wanted to take them down this route. In fact, I don't have any plans to do that, so it's okay. Now I could just use this wagon with buckets on for moving the stones, but I think I'm going to have a go at building a proper ballast wagon. Now that should be fun too.